Well, hey, friends. Today is December 15th, 2021, and we are in Luke's Gospel, chapter 15, about lost things, a coin, a sheep, and a kid. So, all of these stories pretty much has to do with who eats with whom and social, religious boundaries. How we treat the marginalized. 3 stories about lost things. A sheep, first. I always say a coin, a sheep, a kid, but the sheep is the first parable, the first story. So our scene opens with tax collectors and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. The Pharisees, the religious leaders, were ticked off. They are grumbling under their breath. Why does he have to hang out with such sinners, such scum, let alone eat with them? Social, religious boundaries. So Jesus starts talking about these 99 sheep. There's my little sheepies on the couch there. You see my sheepies. He starts talking about the 99 sheep. There's 99 sheep, and one of them goes missing. And so the shepherd goes out and he looks for the one. Did you like the pictures of that story that I posted on Facebook? I have found several that I really have loved. There's a meme again on Facebook that says something like leaving the 99 seems illogical and irresponsible until that one is you. How very true that is. Amazing grace. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Then we have the story of a lost coin. There's this woman, and she's got about 10 days' wages, these 10 coins, and she loses one. And she doesn't say, that's okay, I've got 9 other coins left. Oh no. She tears the house apart. She pulls out the refrigerator, and the oven. Maybe it's back there. Then she goes out to the car and she pushes back the seat and she shines the flashlight in the crevices. She finally finds it. Hooray! She celebrates finding that one coin. You ever lose something in your car? If you follow me on Facebook, you know that several months ago I had this little incident where my credit card slid down between my dash and my front windshield. Never set your credit card on your front dash. Trust me on this. Never did get it out, but I was MacGyvering things like crazy trying to dig it out of there. But I finally just had to cancel that and order a new card. Sometimes my church keys fall in between my seat and my little dash-like thing in the middle, and those can be a bugger to try to get out. Or you ever lose your cell phone in your car, and you can't call it because your cell phone is lost. Lost things that have been found. It tells us that even the angels throw a party when lost things are found again. Isn't that awesome? When one lost sheep has been found, meaning lost persons. When one lost person is found again, is seen, the angels rejoice in heaven. Our last parable is probably the most familiar, often called the parable of the lost son, or the the prodigal son, parable of the prodigal son. Perhaps your translation might read parable of the younger brother, but I think that's kind of rare. I just call it the lost kid. So, a story about two brothers and a father, an older brother and a younger brother, and a family inheritance. One son wants what's coming to him now, the younger one. He wants his portion of his inheritance. The other son, the older brother, he just keeps doing the chores. He just keeps working on the farm. And so the father gives in, and the father gives the younger son his portion of his inheritance. He's got his inheritance in hand, and he takes off down the driveway. He's going to go see the world. He's going to whip the world. But he blows it all. All of a sudden, a famine hits. What to do now? There's this farmer. He gets a job feeding the pigs, this younger brother. And he's so hungry. And even the slop that the pigs are eating looks pretty tasty to him. What's slop? Well, leftovers, the icky stuff. My mother-in-law used to have a slop pail in the kitchen because she put eggshells in there and orange peels and banana peels and grease maybe out of the frying pan or something. And we've got some pigs on our farm right now. Actually, they're our grandson Dax's pigs. We're keeping them for him. And we've got a little Menard's pail in the kitchen that, the guys, especially when I'm not home, throw eggshells and stuff like that in. And the Dax's pigs get that. Slop is leftovers. Certainly not what's on the table. At least not so much. So the younger brother eats slop for the pigs. And he's thinking, and all of a sudden, he's got a change of heart. There's this transformation that takes place. Repentance, repentative heart. Again, Luke's gospel is so good at that. He knew he had made a mistake, and he thinks to himself, if I could just go home and apologize to my dad. Dad, I'm sorry. I've made a mistake. And so he heads for home. Now the father, this is my favorite part. The father sees from far off the son. He sees his son coming from far off. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that for every day since the son has left, without fail, this father has been waiting for his son to come home. He's been looking down the driveway, watching, waiting, probably praying for his son. So the son sees his father and the father sees his son, and they go running towards each other, and they embrace. This younger son falls at his father's feet, and he says, Father, I have sinned against heaven and you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. I am so sorry. But the father is so overcome with emotion that his son is now home. He calls the servant over, says, come, bring a ring, the family ring. A ring symbolizes unity. I belong to you. It's a item of enduring love, Bring a ring, bring a robe, and go out to the feedlot and get the best Angus calf and kill it. And let's throw a party. My youngest son is now home. He was dead, but he is alive again. Now the older brother, he gets wind of it. He goes to his dad and he says, really, Dad? Well, here I've been all along. I've been serving you. I've been out cleaning the barn and, hauling manure and just doing the chores. I fixed the broken down skid loader, changed oil in the tractor, even cleaned the windows on the combine. Every day. I've been working my butt off. And never once have you told me that I could throw a party with my friends or take some ribeyes out of the freezer for the grill. And he's angry. He's angry. And his dad says, "What are you so upset about? Why are you so angry? Here, your brother was dead, and now he has come back to life again. He was lost, but now he is found." Lost ones. Perhaps you have been each person in the story at a different time of your life. Maybe you have been the lost one. Maybe you've been the father waiting for the lost one to come home. Maybe you've been the older brother who's had this grudge going. But when you're the lost one who is found again, what a great feeling. This amazing grace. There's nothing like it. So these stories, Jesus is once again calling out the Pharisees. The Pharisees are like the older brother. They've been watching Jesus all along, who's hanging out with these people that they deem to be sinners and lesser than and marginalized. And, well, here we are, Jesus. We're the church guys. We're the favored ones, the holy ones of Israel. And it seems to them like Jesus is devoting all of his time to these people. Well, he is. And Jesus calls them out. It's all about how we treat people again. I love these stories, don't you? What did you like best about them? What did you have questions with? So, the story of the prodigal son, or the lost son, or the lost kid. I just started calling it the lost kid a few years ago when I really have, dived into the chapter. But the story of the prodigal son was my very first sermon that I ever preached. I was 15 years old and in confirmation at my home church of Laverne United Methodist Church. And the pastor at that time, Reverend Coburn, made us, I had 5 in my class, I think, made us write and preach a sermon to the whole congregation. I kid you not, this was a requirement, and it had to be like a 6 or 7 minute, I don't know how long it was. It wasn't overly long, but long enough. And we had to preach it to the congregation. Well, that should make you nervous enough, and it did. But Laverne UMC was live and on the radio, KQAD radio. I think we had a list of scriptures to choose from, and I chose this one. So we had a family friend. He was what's called the pastor emeritus at Laverne Church, Reverend Dr. Merrill Abbey. Merrill was a classmate of my Grandma Chubb. I think Laverne High School, like class of 1932. But they were classmates and dear friends. Merrill was the pastor when my mom died. The pastor that we had at the time was out of town, and Merrill did the funeral. And Merrill took it upon himself to invest himself in me. Those days leading up to my mom's funeral, he came out to our farm at least once a day, sometimes twice a day, and just spent time with me. Because he didn't want me to see somebody that I didn't know up there preaching at my mom's funeral. He never pressed the issue of death. He never really, he just walked around our farm with me, hand in hand, talking about life, looking at my animals, because I loved animals. I still do. But that's just who Merrill was. Anyway, in this sermon, I went to Merrill's house and he helped me work on it. He didn't do it for me. I remember there was some tweaking going on, and I practiced it with him several times. So the day came and, we had, I think, per Sunday, we all didn't preach at once. We all were assigned a certain Sunday and preached from the lectern. At Laverne, we had the pulpit side, the lectern side. The lay people go to the lectern side. So I was on the lectern side. And my Auntie Barbie and my Grandma Chubb always sat on the left-hand side, second pew in at Laverne. So Barbie, who was also my youth leader at the time, sat out there and recorded my sermon on cassette tape. So when we were cleaning out my Aunt Barbie's twin home after she died, I came across this tape. It was in one of her special boxes, and I can barely make it out, but it says Lori's sermon on it. Unfortunately, it didn't hold up very well. That was many moons ago, like almost 40 years ago, probably now. It would be cool to hear my 15-year-old voice preach lost things that were found again. In thinking about all the time that Merrill invested in me, how I could have been so lost. And there are times in my life when I have been lost. And by God's grace, I was found again. But lost things, lost people, lost sheep. Important how we treat people. Our C+ class, we call our confirmation class C+, because some of them, after they're confirmed, come back, which is wonderful. So Vicar Rick had a lesson a week ago on this passage, the Prodigal Son. And it was so interesting to hear their perspective on some of this. Some of them thought, well, maybe the younger son left because the dad was really mean to him. Or just the 2021 perspective that they had. It was really, really good. And I wish I would have taken some notes on it, but I was so proud of them. They earned a Kahoot game afterwards. We played Kahoot because they were all respectful. They all engaged in conversation, and it was awesome. So there you go. We don't have jam tonight. We canceled. Didn't want to do that, but because we have our Christmas party tonight. But that'll all keep. We just want people to stay safe, and it sounds like we could have some really nasty weather. When the meteorologists are online talking about it all day long, we need to take note. And so we just didn't want people on the road. We dismiss at 8 o'clock, and the wind is supposed to be really heavy, and who knows. So just stay tuned and be careful out there. So how was your day? What did you like? What did you not like? Just let me know that you're listening. We'll see you tomorrow for chapter 16. And I'll try to be down at church tomorrow night, but my car is in and the church is locked up and I'm staying put. So, plus my sheep are here. Talk to you later. Sleep well. Jesus loves you. Bye for now.